We're here with Glenda Cochran and Matt Moneyham of Glenda Cochran Associates. We're doing a whole series of videos on topics related to what they do every day. And in this video, we're discussing burn injuries. What most people don't realize is that surviving a burn injury is often only the beginning of a long and difficult journey. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that with these two who see this and deal with this and help people who are suffering from this every single day. Glenda, let's start with you. Can you tell me just kind of an overview of what you see regarding burn injuries?
Oh my gosh, they run the gamut. But the worst ones are fatal. You know, if you have a huge burn over a huge area of your body, not only is the burn, fatal, typically, is the complications.
Okay.
The treatment itself is oftentimes more painful than the injury. The first thing they do is take you into the OR and perform what's called escharotomies, which is where they literally cut your limbs open so that the body can open because the swelling is so immense. And then every day they go in and wash the wound literally. And the pain medication that's given for this procedure is not capable of totally eliminating the amount of pain. And hospitalizations for these types of injuries, I've had one patient who was hospitalized for 9 months. And after the initial acute hospitalization, there's long-term hospitalization, months and months of rehab facilities, prosthesis, grafts continue, infections are almost always rampant. Then after that phase, you have to have physical therapy and counseling because PTSD is a common problem with these type of injuries. So you're talking about an injury that is lifelong. And not only does it affect the person who's injured, it totally disrupts their place in the family and how the family has to cope losing. Typically, these injuries happen to the breadwinner. And so they are among some of the worst injuries. And as everybody knows, there is no injury worse than pain, which is why people think of burning skin in hell because it's Dante's hell. It is the worst imaginable pain that a human can experience. So they're devastating.
So tell me, we've talked a little bit about kind of how extensive a burn injury is beyond just the physical injury. As we're talking about things like surgeries, how many surgeries do people typically face if they've experienced this?
Well, it depends on the degree of the burn and the size. Some of them are not very many, and some of them are great. And in addition to the surgery for the skin graft, there's the donor site, which is the area where you remove the skin, which makes yet another burn area or another scar. And a lot of times the graft doesn't take, so it has to be repeated. And if it becomes infected, it will almost always be repeated. So there's no set number. It runs the entire gamut depending on whether the burn was 3rd degree, 4th degree, or even past 4th degree where you lose bone and have amputation. Those are the most severe types of grafting.
Can you tell me about the degrees of burns? I'm not sure people really understand.
Sure. So there's really kind of 4 levels. 1st degree burns most people are familiar with.
Okay.
That's kind of like a sunburn.
Okay.
2nd degree is what they refer to as a partial thickness burn, where the top layer of the skin and even down a little further is actually damaged. 3rd degree is where the entirety of the skin, the entire levels of the skin are damaged and burned. And then 4th degree goes even deeper into subcutaneous tissue, like into muscle, into areas like that. So that's sort of the levels of burns, but all of them have their own complications.
So with a 4th degree burn, is someone likely to survive that?
Depending on the size.
Okay.
You know, if the area of the body affected as well can have a lot to do with that. So if you had a 4th degree burn on a small portion of, say, your arm, there might be things they can do for you to survive that. But if it's a larger burn that gets that deep, there's all kind of complications that go along with that. Especially with infection in the treatment phase. And obviously the scarring from a burn like that is tremendous.
So tell me a little bit more about what the two of you have seen as far as the aftermath of this kind of thing. So people have survived the injury, they have gone through the surgeries, they've gone through the debridement, which I do want to talk about a little bit more. What have you seen as far as consequences for their quality of life, consequences for their families? Talk to me a little bit about that.
After the initial phase, there's always the long-term facility care. And then once they're discharged home, they need a lot of home health care.
Okay.
And that goes on sometimes for years. And depending on the nature of the burn, a lot of people can never return to work, particularly if the burns involve their hands or
Right.
whatever parts of their body that they use to make a living with. And the physical therapy continues for the rest of their life. And that's why we work with life care planners to figure out what it will take for the rest of this person's life to provide them with physical therapy for the occasional inpatient readmission. Cellulitis is a common problem. They have to go back for that. If they have prostheses, those have to be refitted with time, not only because of the change in the anatomy, but because of the fact they just wear out. So you have to cost out what will that take for the rest of their life. If this is the breadwinner, the husband in the family, or the person who repaired the car or did the roof, those services are going to have to be paid for.
Right.
What does that cost? They can't return to cutting the grass or even self-care. We've had patients who couldn't cut their food, and it severely affects the quality of their life because now these independent people have to depend on other people to cook their food, cut their food, help them eat it, help them in the shower, help them take a bath, help them with basic toiletry. And their self-esteem and their sense of pride and self-respect disappears. And on top of that is the PTSD and depression and anxiety. And they often don't want to leave home because they need to be inbound to protect themselves from all of the things in the world they can no longer navigate. So these are extremely devastating, lifelong injuries, but the effect on the family is equally as great because they step up to the extent that they can, but they cannot fix the emotional, the behavioral, and the depressive aspects of this injury. So now there is a different person living in the house, and the entire dynamic of the family has changed. So it's pretty devastating. And
But there are also smaller things that I think, I wouldn't call them smaller. They're not insignificant.
Yeah.
But things that a lot of folks probably don't realize that occur with burn injuries. For example, the areas where the skin has been grafted. Folks who have skin grafts don't have sweat glands on those areas. So
Really?
there's a certain level of heat intolerance. I mean, it really changes. It is very much a life-altering, catastrophic injury.
Wow.
And from terms of disfigurement, that's an emotional nuclear bomb that most people aren't expecting. But there's so many different aspects of a person's life that are affected by a burn injury. It's not just pain. I mean, pain obviously
A large part of it.
These are the most painful injuries that you can imagine. But long term, there's so many different aspects of
affects
life.
everything.
not being able to, for example, go fishing, go outside with your children because you can't have the skin, this artificial skin or
Right.
this grafted skin exposed to the sun. But it's also not real skin. So it's very sensitive. It's easily cut, torn, and you can no longer handle like caustic cleaners or the types of things people routinely encounter just in cleaning their house or navigating in the world. So you have an entirely different way of living that's pretty hard to adjust to.
Yeah.
And nerve pain is another thing. I mean, the skin when it's grafted, will heal,
Yeah.
but there's like a constant, never-ending like itching sensation or
Tingling.
and nerve
Needles and
Just
pins.
chronic.
nerve injury that goes along with it that people have to deal with the rest of their life.
Oh my goodness.
And
It's hard to get comfortable with that kind of skin irritation.
I would
It's
imagine.
unrelenting.
I'd imagine. And this word was new to me, debridement. You mentioned it earlier briefly. Tell me a little bit more. This sounds horrific. Tell me a little bit more about what this process involves.
It's basically barbaric, but because you have to combat infection, which is the thing that's the most dangerous to someone who's been seriously burned, they literally go in and remove the dead skin, which is already starting to peel.
Right.
They scrub it away. And if you can imagine how painful that is to have had, for example, a third-degree burn, and someone is scrubbing with a piece of gauze and a cleaner to drag the dead skin off, and you have to be awake for that procedure. And that happens every single day. So our clients tell us that they start every day dreading it,
I'm sure.
that it's basically a living hell to survive it, and then they lay in their hospital bed for the rest of the day dreading what's coming tomorrow.
My goodness.
It's the most excruciating pain that you can imagine, and most patients and most of our clients say it's worse than the pain from the burn itself.
Wow. Just the process of recovery
Yes.
is so much worse.
Oh, yes.
Clearly, you have a lot of experience in this area. Tell me a little bit about how you help people who find themselves in this situation.
Well, that's what we do best.
Yeah.
Because after these events, these people are focused on themselves and their families and their recovery and getting by day to day. And what they need is an advocate who can take care of the legwork and the things that they don't need to be tending to, because their focus needs to be on their family. And we work with experts across the board. We are able to get to a scene, take our experts, collect the evidence, interview the witnesses while events are fresh on their mind, do the necessary investigation, contact administrative agencies, investigative agencies, document what's happened, take photographs, and begin the process of discovering what has happened. Because in our experience, these individuals and their families really want the peace that comes with knowing what happened.
Yes.
I don't know why, but serious burn injuries are usually singular, and it's the family in the aftermath trying to piece together what in the world happened. And we do that for them, and we do it without any charge. I mean, our fees are contingent. So unless we find a method of recovery to change the outcome for this family, they don't owe us anything. Okay. And then once they have that information about what happened, there's a piece that comes with that, and then they can decide what they want to do with it.
Yeah.
So I think the legwork on the front end is some of the most important work that we do.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I shouldn't brag here, we're very good at managing these cases and managing them very successfully to conclusion.
Yeah. Anything from you on that?
I would add that I think that for Glenda and I both, having so many clients that have suffered burns, it makes our work just very rewarding for us. But because these injuries are so serious, there's just an importance to it that we feel. I'm not, saying that what we do is more important than what other lawyers do. What I was saying is for us personally,
Yeah.
the horrific nature of these injuries, it's just such a motivator for us to do the best job that we can. But
Right.
it's not just that we represent them in court or go to whatever lengths that we have to go to litigate their case. I end up feeling like my clients are family.
Yeah.
And I genuinely care more about their well-being overall than I am about just a legal case.
Yeah.
And
Goes
we
much deeper.
stay close to our clients for many, many years. And we have, between the two of us, we have over 50 years of experience in this type
Wow.
of litigation. So we bring a wealth of information and background to discovering and managing and resolving these types of cases.
Yeah.
And it is, our firm motto is, it's a quest for truth. And that's how we look at it. And we feel very close to our clients, and that doesn't change after the case is over.
Well, it's very clear that the two of you are not only experienced in this, but also incredibly compassionate, and that there is a much greater purpose behind your work than just the legal part of it, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's that's important.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm
You
sure
know.
people need someone who really is going to care about them and be there in their darkest hour.
That's right.
Yeah.
Burn injuries, the replacement skin, whether it's artificial skin or a skin graft, it doesn't grow like normal skin does.
Wow.
And sometimes it can get tight, and surgeries have to be performed, which are called release surgeries and contractures. So down the road, there can be a lot of health care and a lot future surgeries, particularly children, which is
Because they're growing.
and their skin won't grow,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's horrible. And it's something that's very sad to see, but there's a lot of lifelong complications that go along with burn injuries that I think that people need to know on the front end.
Daily things. And one of the things that doctors prescribe for a scar is scar massage, and that's usually weekly. And if you think about that, that's weekly over the term of your life. And you have to moisturize that skin every single day, and you have to put sunscreen on it every single day. And those are costs that go on as long as you live. And our life care planners actually account for those costs when they figure out what is the overall lifetime cost of this injury. Just so many tiny things like that.
So far beyond the preliminary medical
Yes.
bills.
And it's important to realize that is, compensable. Mm-hmm. Those are real costs that are associated with an injury that need to be covered,
Yeah.
that need to be taken into account.
But the family may not think about that.
Correct.
Correct, and that's where we come in.
Right.
Is our job is to think about everything that you're going to need,
For
and
example,
make sure
yeah.
that we're fighting for that.
Right.
For example, if you need a wheelchair, well, we have to factor in how many wheelchairs are you going to need over the cost of your life?
Right.
What is the replacement of that?
Wow. Okay.
Do you need a battery pack? Yes. Do you need a backup battery pack? Yes. Do you need other things for that wheelchair? And those costs repeat themselves for the course of your life.
And how long will that survive? Will it have to be replaced in 10 years?
Right.
What's the lifespan?
Anticipating all of these costs that are going to be adding up for decades.
And a lot of people have to have life coaches. They have to have people help them manage their lifestyle for the rest of their life because their depression, their anxiety, and sometimes just the nature of the injury prevents them or limits the full executive function that they enjoyed before, like managing medications. That's a very difficult thing for someone who's recovering from a serious burn injury. Just having someone count out the medications, making sure they manage the doctor's appointments, making sure that they get there, and transportation. When you have a severe burn, you're not able to drive. And some people never regain that ability. So having a means of transportation to physical therapists and doctors and others for the rest of your life mounts up over time.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and talking through this topic. It's a difficult topic, but it's important, and it's amazing to me to just hear your hearts and to hear what goes on behind the scenes that you're doing for people who have experienced one of the most catastrophic injuries in the world that they could possibly ever experience. If you're listening, we hope that this discussion has maybe brought clarity to a topic that you were confused about or feeling overwhelmed by. If you found this helpful, we encourage you to share it with someone who may benefit from it. And also, please visit their website, glendacochran.com, and make sure that you reach out if you find yourself in a situation like this. Glenda and Matt are here for you, and they're here to help. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.